Welcome to another Howls and Growls breakdown, and today we're talking about one of the key features in Minnesota's 3-0 series lead over the Phoenix Suns, and that's the way they are denying the three-point line defensively. Now, Minnesota have been smothering the Suns in practically all facets with their vaunted defense all series, but I think their ability to prevent three-point takes and three-point makes is what has been giving them the biggest edge so far. Sometimes basketball really is just a math equation, and the Wolves are out-mathing the Suns in dominant fashion so far. Phoenix are attempting just 26 three-point shots per game in the playoffs thus far, the lowest frequency amongst all 16 teams, and they're opting instead for mid-range jumpers and often failed attempts to get to the rim. Now, while that mid-range obsession is built into their star players, you can't discount what Minnesota have done to force Phoenix off the three-point arc. And I think this Game 3 performance showed us another great example of that. Even if it's just something simple like jumping out on these ball screens like Gobert does here, he's taking away the jumper from KD, but he's also batting away that pass and forcing a turnover. There isn't anything overly complex there, but the timing and the sharpness of these switches and traps has been insane for Minnesota so far. Again, look at how quickly Mike Conley recognizes this switch and then closes down this space to prevent a pull-up three from Booker. And again, it's a turnover at the end of that because those quick defensive decisions just junk up Phoenix's offensive rhythm. The thing about Minnesota is that they string these three-point preventing actions together, and that's what makes them so dangerous. You see here it's a hard hedge again on the ball screen from Reed, and Anderson is in the perfect position here to tag the roll man or recover to the shooter as he does. So he prevents the jumper, and it's Reed back here to rotate over and contest the shot after he recovered back from the perimeter. It's all about doing these things over and over again though. Reed is up in coverage again, closing down that pull-up three space. Alexander Walker is digging down to force the pass away from the roll man, but he's ready to get back to the shooter and run him off the line and then stick on his hip all the way until he can make life difficult for him at the rim. So you can see that everybody always works for each other in this defensive scheme, and that's what makes it so successful. Beal is a mismatch on the drive for Conley here, so Alexander Walker leaves Booker to help him, and that calls Gobert into rotation all the way out here to run Booker off the line, and again that calls Alexander Walker back in to contest the shot and force a miss. So I think the only way a team can string together these type of defensive efforts in one possession, especially against a team with Phoenix's firepower, is if they're comfortable switching matchups seamlessly. You see here it's Naz Reid who's going to switch the ball screen and close down that space again. While that mismatch means Booker might get a step on him, there's still Gobert there to rotate over at the rim to force a kick out, and they're still fanning out to shooters with Nikhil there, and Reed is still selling out to stop Booker from getting off in the corner. And again, when Booker does get that step, Gobert is willing to switch and get a stop in the mid-range area. This simply doesn't work if Reed won't chase to shut off three-point shots, or if Gobert won't commit to rotating and switching, and that's the stuff that Minnesota has done all season long, and they've only ramped it up in this series. Look at what Gobert does on this possession. Of course you get his usual paint rotations where he's sliding over here to force Beal into a U-turn on that speedy drive to the rim, but the important thing that he does that he's been doing all series long is not only move up in here to deter another drive, but he gets all the way back to the corner to close down an open look from Booker and force him into a tougher look inside the arc and then grab that rebound for good measure. There just aren't many defenders in the world who can do this kind of stuff, and Gobert has been doing it over and over again in these biggest games of the season so far. But he can only do that because he has this scrambling defense around him that just strangles teams into submission. Again, Reed is out here willing to switch onto Booker and get through a screen to stick on his hip throughout this possession, and really he stifles Booker into a pass, and then he will switch again, and when the ball comes to KD, he's going to show at him to stop the three, then recover back to tip away that pass, and even a fortuitous bounce won't stop Alexander Walker from closing out on the corner and forcing the Suns into a shot clock violation. When Gobert has that sort of defense in front of him, he can do his part or even go beyond that without the fear of getting burnt. But the thing about this league is that no matter what, teams are going to still find ways to get up some 3-pointers, even against this kind of defense. So the other prong to this prevent 3 defense that the Wolves are going with is to make the ones that do go up really tough to make. They're kind of in secondary break scramble mode here, but look at how they rotate and cover ground. First, it's Gobert's obligatory rim rotation, then Ant is going to come from the middle and take away KD's jumper, before coming out of that into another rotation 1 pass away, and that forces Gobert out of the paint to get into KD's drill and make that shot a tough one. And I think this next and final possession that we are going to look at is actually the most important defensive possession of the series, and it is important because of the clock and the score. This game is all but over, but look at what the Wolves are doing. Conley is still getting through ball screens and staying on Bradley Beal's hip. Gobert is still coming from the paint to jet out and force Okogie off the line. When he kicks it out, Conley is again up there forcing Phoenix off the line with a strong closeout. Edwards is sitting in the gap so he can either come and take away Beal's lane or provide another closeout on Gordon 1 pass away. When he forces a drive, Alexander Walker is rotating over as a helper, and after another thwarted drive, Gobert is ready to get back out to the perimeter before he decides that Okogie is the one that they want shooting these shots, and he promptly bricks that 3. And as if willed by the basketball gods, Gobert is able to break out, and Edwards finds him on that outlet pass for the and one, the DX celebration, and the cherry on top of this masterful defensive cake for Minnesota. And each and every night, this team is a really tough out for any opponent, and we're seeing that rise to another level in these playoffs, and thankfully we will be seeing them, it seems, in at least one more series as these playoffs progress. Thanks again for watching Howls and Growls. Please make sure you subscribe for more.